listen for a moment to the quiet between your breaths. In that stillness, there is a rhythm older than time itself, a pulse that beats through galaxies and whispers inside the chambers of your heart. This is where the ancient adepts first heard the truth they called the law of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. A sentence so brief it could be carved on a single stone, and yet wide enough to hold the entire cosmos. The universe is not a collection of separate parts scattered like broken glass. It is a hall of mirrors, each surface reflecting the other, each pattern echoing across scales. What lives in the vastness of the stars also lives in the smallness of a single cell. The spiral of a galaxy is found again in the curl of a fern, in the spiral of a seashell, in the whirl of your own fingerprints. Everywhere, the great and the minute are bound in a secret dance. Ancient mystics gazed at the night sky and felt this truth in their bones. They saw the orbits of planets as the turning of divine wheels, and they sensed those same wheels turning in the hidden machinery of the soul. To them, the heavens were not distant. They were a reflection, a grand projection of the inner world. And so the Hermetic maxim was born, not as mere poetry, but as a key to unlock the unity of all existence. Even today, science begins to hear the same echo. The structure of the atom mirrors the order of the solar system. Fractal patterns unfold endlessly, from the branching of rivers to the firing of neurons in the human brain. The holographic principle suggests that every part of reality contains the blueprint of the whole. It is as if the universe cannot help but copy itself, whispering over and over, "What is above is also within you." But this is more than a lesson about shapes and stars. The law of correspondence speaks to the intimate bridge between your inner state and the world that surrounds you. The thoughts you cradle, the emotions you nurture, the frequency of your being. These are not private accidents. They are seeds that bloom as circumstances, relationships, and events. Change the pattern within, and the outer world rearranges to match. The microcosm and the macrocosm are forever intertwined. Close your eyes for a heartbeat, and imagine your life as a single drop in an endless ocean. The drop is not separate from the tide. Its movement shapes the waves even as the waves shape it. So it is with you and the cosmos. Every choice, every vibration, every quiet revelation is felt across the fabric of existence. The law of correspondence invites you to see the sacred symmetry hidden in plain sight. When a sudden coincidence startles you awake, when nature repeats a pattern until you finally notice, when a dream speaks in symbols that unfold in your waking day, these are not random accidents. They are the universe holding up a mirror, showing you what already lives within. To walk with this understanding is to live in wonder. It is to read the world as a living scripture, where every sunrise is a sentence and every breath a verse. You need not travel to distant temples to find this truth. It shimmers in the reflection of your own eyes, in the pulse of your heartbeat, in the endless sky that arches over you tonight. The mirror of the infinite is not somewhere else. It is here, now, shining quietly through every layer of reality. And as we continue this journey, we will follow those reflections deeper, tracing the threads that weave the vast and the intimate into one unbroken tapestry. Long before the language of science, long before the world was mapped and measured, there were those who looked upon the night sky and felt the pulse of eternity moving through it. They were the keepers of temples, the dreamers of hidden codes, the guardians of sacred fires. To them, The law of correspondence was not an abstract idea. It was the heartbeat of reality itself, a truth whispered in stone, in star, and in silence. In the deserts of ancient Egypt, priest-philosophers built their temples not merely as places of worship, but as living diagrams of the cosmos. Each chamber, each column, each shaft of light was positioned to mirror the movements of the heavens. The great pyramids rose from the sands like frozen rays of starlight, aligning with Orion's belt as if to say, "What unfolds above is echoed below." Inside these sacred walls, initiates were taught that the human being is a microcosm of the entire universe, that every organ, every thought, every breath is a reflection of the great cosmic order. Centuries later, in the flowering of Greek philosophy, this Hermetic current found new language. Plato spoke of the world of forms, an eternal realm where perfect patterns reside, casting their shadows into the material world. To the Greek mind, the stars were not distant fires, but luminous symbols of divine intelligence. The maxim, as above, so below, became the bridge between matter and idea, between the visible and the invisible. It told them that by studying the heavens, one might understand the soul, and by exploring the soul, one might read the heavens. The Emerald Tablet, attributed to the mythical sage Hermes Trismegistus, stands as the enduring beacon of this wisdom. Its lines are few, but their depth is immeasurable. That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below. To accomplish the miracle of the one, alchemists across Europe and the Middle East guarded this fragment as a key to transformation. To them, the transmutation of lead into gold was never only about metals. It was a metaphor for the refinement of the human spirit. The furnace of the laboratory was a mirror of the furnace of the heart. Every element, every process, every shining coin of gold corresponded to a change in consciousness. These ancient sages did not divide the world into separate compartments of sacred and mundane. For them, a river was not merely water flowing downhill. It was the reflection of celestial currents. The movement of planets described the rhythms of fate. The growth of a single seed carried the same mystery as the birth of a star. They understood that to know the universe, one must first know oneself. And to know oneself, one must listen to the language of the universe. Even as empires rose and fell, the principle endured. Through Hermetic texts hidden in desert caves, through the veiled teachings of alchemists, through the cryptic symbols carved into cathedrals and manuscripts, the law of correspondence traveled silently across centuries. It called to those who were willing to look beyond appearances and hear the echo of the eternal. Today, as we stand in a world illuminated by telescopes and quantum equations, we find that the ancients were not naive dreamers. They were explorers of a different kind of science, one that measured the resonance between spirit and matter, between the infinite and the intimate. Their temples, tablets, and symbols remain as invitations, reminding us that the pattern above and the pattern within are forever one. And as we carry their torch forward, we begin to see that the stars overhead are not distant at all. They are reflections in the vast mirror of consciousness, guiding us to remember the unity we have never truly left. The ancients spoke in symbols, but the universe is still speaking, now through the language of science. And what it whispers is startlingly familiar. The very patterns the mystics intuited in temples and tablets are now being traced by microscopes, telescopes, and equations. The law of correspondence, once cloaked in myth, begins to reveal itself in the cool glow of mathematics and physics. Look first to the atom, the building block of everything you can see and touch. Inside its heart spins a dance of electrons circling a nucleus, a miniature solar system unfolding in the invisible. Scale that vision outward, and you find galaxies turning in space, their stars orbiting a central core. The structure repeats, from the smallest particle to the grandest cluster of galaxies, as if reality cannot help but echo itself. What the Hermetic sages called, as above, so below, is written into the very architecture of matter. Fractals carry this story even further. A fractal is a pattern that repeats itself at every scale. Zoom in or zoom out, and the same geometry reappears like a cosmic signature. The veins of a leaf resemble the branching of rivers. The network of neurons in your brain mirrors the filaments of galaxies spanning the universe. Even lightning forks through the sky with the same jagged rhythm as blood vessels inside your body. These are not coincidences. They are nature's way of revealing that the whole is contained within every part, endlessly self-similar, endlessly one. Consider the hologram. In a holographic image, each fragment, no matter how small, contains the entire picture. Physicists exploring the holographic principle now propose that the universe itself might operate in a similar way, that the three-dimensional world we experience could emerge from deeper layers of information, like a vast cosmic hologram. If this is true, every grain of existence holds the blueprint of the entire cosmos. The ancients said the same thing in a different tongue. The part reflects the whole. The below contains the above. Quantum physics deepens the mystery. Particles separated by vast distances can remain mysteriously linked, a phenomenon known as entanglement. Change one, and the other responds instantly, as if space and time themselves are secondary to a deeper unity. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But the Hermetic mind would simply nod in recognition. The universe is not a collection of isolated objects. It is a single field of correspondence, a web of relationships where everything mirrors everything else. Even the human brain plays its part in this grand reflection. Neuroscientists have discovered that our minds are wired to recognize patterns, to seek resonance between inner and outer worlds. When you look up at a starry night and feel an inexplicable sense of belonging, you are not imagining things. Your consciousness is responding to the same fractal rhythms that shape the galaxies and the neurons alike. The cosmos is not out there, separate and cold. It is moving through you, thinking through you, reflecting itself in the very act of your awareness. These scientific revelations do more than validate ancient wisdom. They invite us to live differently. If reality is holographic, if every fragment contains the whole, then every thought and every action carries a significance far beyond the personal. To heal a single wound within yourself is to participate in the healing of the larger field. To cultivate harmony in your own life is to send ripples of harmony through the entire web of existence. The universe is listening because it is you. Stand for a moment with this understanding. The same patterns that spiral through distant galaxies spiral through the chambers of your heart. The same geometry that draws rivers across the earth traces the pathways of your own breath. This is not metaphor alone. It is the living reality of correspondence. As we continue this journey, let us carry both the wonder of the mystic and the curiosity of the scientist. For in their meeting place, the fractal dance of reality unfolds, revealing a cosmos that is both infinite and intimately our own. Close your eyes and turn your awareness inward. The vastness you sense within is not a void. It is a living universe, as rich and mysterious as the star-strewn night above. The Hermetic sages called the human being a microcosm of the macrocosm. And here, in the quiet of your own consciousness, their words begin to breathe. Your body is not merely a biological machine. It is a constellation of energies, a luminous network where matter and spirit meet. The ancient traditions map this subtle terrain with remarkable precision. The yogis of India spoke of chakras, spinning wheels of energy rising along the spine like planets orbiting a central sun. Chinese mystics traced meridians, rivers of life force flowing through the flesh as surely as the Nile winds through the desert. To walk within this inner cosmos is to discover that your very heartbeat echoes the rhythm of galaxies, and that each breath is a tide in the ocean of existence. Thought is not confined to the brain. Every idea, every emotion, every pulse of intention sends ripples through the invisible field that surrounds you. Modern physics calls this field the quantum vacuum, a sea of energy where particles flicker in and out of being. Mystics call it spirit, the subtle substance from which all forms arise. Whatever name you give it, it responds to vibration. Your feelings are frequencies. Your thoughts are tones. Together they create the music that the outer world dances to. Change the melody within, and the dance around you shifts to match. Consider the phenomenon of synchronicity described by Carl Jung, a meaningful coincidence that defies mere chance. A sudden meeting, a dream that mirrors waking life, a sign that appears the moment you need it most. Such moments are the fingerprints of correspondence. They reveal that the boundary between inner and outer is thinner than we imagine. That consciousness itself is woven into the fabric of reality. This understanding is not meant to inflate the ego, but to awaken responsibility. When you nurture peace within, you feed the larger field with harmony. When you dwell in fear or anger, those vibrations echo outward like distant thunder. The universe does not punish or reward, it simply reflects. Your inner state is the template from which outer experiences arise. Meditation becomes, in this light, far more than a technique for relaxation. It is a tuning fork for the soul. By sitting in stillness, by breathing with awareness, you adjust your inner frequency until it resonates with the deeper harmony of the cosmos. In that resonance, subtle correspondences emerge. The world seems to meet you halfway. Opportunities unfold with grace. The line between prayer and physics begins to blur. Even the smallest act of self-care becomes cosmic work. A single compassionate thought can soften the atmosphere of an entire room. A quiet smile can ripple through the invisible network of relationships that binds all beings. The microcosm within you is not isolated. It is the living gateway through which the infinite expresses itself. So pause, even now, and feel the universe breathing through you. Feel the starlight in your blood, the tides in your lungs, the galaxies spinning in the silent chambers of your heart. This is the inner cosmos, the sacred correspondence between what you are and all that is. As we continue, we will step from this intimate universe back into the wider web of human connection, where personal transformation becomes a force that moves communities, cultures, and the destiny of the whole.
The law of correspondence is not only a concept to contemplate, it is a living force meant to be practiced. Ancient adepts never sought knowledge for the sake of curiosity alone. They studied the patterns of the stars and the secrets of the soul so they could live them, weaving the wisdom of as above, so below, into the fabric of daily existence. To walk this path is to become an alchemist of your own life, transforming thought into experience and experience into awakening. Begin where the Hermetic masters began, with observation. The world around you is a mirror, reflecting the inner landscape of belief and vibration. Notice the moods that color your day. When frustration lingers within, does it not seem to appear in the faces you meet, in the very weather of the moment? When joy glows quietly in your chest, does the world not soften and align itself in unexpected ways? These are not coincidences. They are correspondences. The outer world echoes the frequencies you carry. To change the echo, you must first adjust the tone. Start with simple reflection. Each evening, pause before sleep and review the day as if it were a sacred text. What patterns repeated? What events mirrored the thoughts you held most strongly? This is the first practice of alchemy, reading your life like a map of the soul. No judgment is required, only awareness. Awareness is the philosopher's stone that begins the transformation. Once you have observed the mirrors, you may choose the pattern you wish to cultivate. Journaling becomes a powerful ritual here. Write not only what you desire to see in the outer world, but also the inner qualities that correspond to those desires. If you seek harmony in relationships, ask what harmony feels like inside your own body. If you seek abundance, nurture the inner sense of enoughness. The more vividly you can feel these states within, the more naturally the
Practical alchemy also calls for action in the physical world. When inner clarity blossoms, follow it with tangible steps. If your journaling reveals a longing for connection, reach out to someone. If meditation brings insight about your health, honor it with nourishing food and movement. Each external action becomes a seal, a physical confirmation of the inner transformation. The microcosm and macrocosm are not separate stages. They are partners in an endless dialogue. Ultimately, applying the law of correspondence is an invitation to live as if everything is alive and responsive, because it is. The breeze on your skin, the flicker of a candle, the chance meeting in a quiet street, all are messages, mirrors, and companions on your journey. By honoring these reflections, you enter the very rhythm that shapes worlds. As we leave this chapter, carry with you the quiet power of daily practice. Each breath, each thought, each act of love is a brushstroke on the canvas of reality. The alchemist is not a distant figure in a forgotten laboratory. The alchemist is you, here and now, shaping the universe by shaping the universe within. Ahead lies a wider horizon, where personal transformation ripples outward into relationships, communities, and the great collective mind. For when one soul begins to shine, the entire web of existence cannot help but glow in response. The universe does not exist in isolation, and neither do you. Every heartbeat, every thought, every quiet action is woven into a vast, shimmering network of life. The law of correspondence reminds us that the same patterns that echo between stars and atoms also flow between souls. To see this is to awaken to the truth that relationships are not random. They are mirrors, each one reflecting something essential within ourselves. Look closely at the people who enter your life. Some bring warmth, some bring challenge, some stir old memories you thought were long forgotten. Each encounter is a dialogue between the microcosm and the macrocosm. Friends mirror the qualities you nurture or suppress. Lovers reveal the patterns of your deepest longings. Even strangers on a passing street can reflect the energy you are radiating in a single moment. When you recognize this, every interaction becomes a lesson, every connection a teacher. Ancient mystics understood that communities, too, are living organisms. A tribe, a city, a nation. Each carries a collective vibration shaped by the thoughts and emotions of its members. When a single person heals an old wound, the resonance of that healing ripples outward, softening the larger field. Modern science is beginning to glimpse the same truth through the study of collective consciousness. Experiments with random number generators show measurable shifts during moments of global focus or emotion, as if human hearts beat together across vast distances. The Hermetic principle would simply say, as within, so without. As one soul transforms, the many respond. This web of relationships is not meant to trap you but to guide you. Conflict, though uncomfortable, often carries the clearest reflections. An argument can reveal a hidden fear. A betrayal can expose a belief you are ready to release. Even love itself, in its highest form, is a correspondence. A meeting of two microcosms that calls each to greater wholeness. Seen in this light, no relationship is wasted. Each one is a sacred mirror polishing the soul. To walk this path consciously is to cultivate presence in every interaction. Before speaking, feel the subtle field between you and the other. Listen not only with ears, but with the quiet awareness of the heart. A single compassionate glance can soften years of silence. A word spoken in clarity can shift the course of a life. These are not small acts. They are the movements of the universe through human form. And just as a single cell carries the pattern of the entire body, each relationship carries the pattern of the cosmic whole. When you forgive, the universe forgives through you. When you celebrate another's joy, the stars themselves seem to shine brighter. In this way, your personal evolution is never private. It is the awakening of the collective, one luminous moment at a time. As we journey onward, remember that the web of relationships is not merely outside you. It is the living extension of your own inner cosmos. The next chapter will carry us beyond these mirrors, toward the mystery that waits when every reflection dissolves into the one. There comes a point on every seeker's path when the mirrors begin to fade. Patterns that once felt profound, stars echoing atoms, dreams echoing days, suddenly reveal themselves as invitations, not destinations. The law of correspondence has led us from the outer cosmos to the inner, from the dance of galaxies to the silent beat of the heart. But beyond every reflection lies a truth too vast to be captured by pattern alone. The Hermetic sages called this the One, the Source, the All. Eastern mystics spoke of the Tao, the nameless way that cannot be defined. It is the ground of being, the silence before sound, the light before the birth of stars. Correspondence points toward it, but cannot contain it. For in the realm of the One, there is no above and below, no inner and outer, no self and other. All mirrors dissolve into the simple radiance of what is. Imagine the moment before a still lake is touched by the first ripple. Its surface holds no reflection, yet it contains the possibility of every reflection. This is the state beyond duality. The mystics called it union, samadhi, enlightenment, a consciousness in which the observer and the observed are not two. It is not reached by climbing higher, but by sinking deeper, letting go of the very search for correspondence. Science, too, brushes against this mystery. Quantum physics tells us that the distinction between particle and wave, between matter and energy, depends on observation. Reality is not fixed. It arises in relationship. At the deepest level, There may be no independent things, only an infinite field of potential waiting to become form. This resonates with the mystic's realization that all separations are temporary veils drawn across the face of the One. To taste this truth is to experience a profound freedom. The striving to control, to compare, to manipulate begins to fall away. You no longer chase pow, turns for validation. You rest in the living presence that gives birth to every pattern. It is like standing beneath a night sky and suddenly feeling no distance between yourself and the stars. Not a connection across space, but the recognition that there was never any separation to begin with. Yet this state is not an escape from the world. It is the source of true compassion. When the boundaries of self dissolve, the suffering of others is felt as your own. Love flows naturally, not as a moral duty, but as the effortless expression of unity. The universe breathes through you, and you through it. A single heartbeat echoing in infinite forms. Words can only point to this reality. It must be lived, felt, surrendered into. To go beyond duality is to step beyond the final mirror, where the law of correspondence fulfills itself by disappearing. There is only the One, silent, radiant, unbroken. From this still center, we turn towards the closing of our journey, carrying the quiet knowing that every reflection, every relationship, every star and grain of sand is nothing less than the infinite gazing back at itself. The journey through the law of correspondence does not end in some distant temple or hidden realm. It ends here, within the quiet heartbeat of this very moment, and in the simple, miraculous act of being alive. All the mirrors we have explored, from galaxies to atoms, from dreams to relationships, now invite a single understanding. The universe is a living conversation, and every breath you take is part of its eternal dialogue. To walk in this awareness is to rediscover wonder. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when you recognize the pattern shimmering beneath it. A falling leaf is no longer just a leaf. It is a spiral echoing the galaxies. A stranger's smile is not a random gesture. It is a reflection of your own hidden radiance. Each sunrise writes a new verse of the cosmic poem, and each night sky is a map leading back to the infinite within. This practice of wonder is not a task to master but a way of seeing. It begins with small acts of attention, noticing the rhythm of your breath as you step outside, listening to the hush of wind through trees, pausing to feel the subtle resonance between your thoughts and the world's unfolding. These simple moments are gateways, reminders that the microcosm and the macrocosm are forever intertwined. Carry this knowing into your daily life. Let your words become blessings, your actions small offerings to the great web of existence. Treat every encounter, whether with a loved one, a stranger, or the quiet of your own heart, as a sacred meeting of worlds. For in truth, each is the universe speaking to itself, learning, evolving, and awakening through you. And when doubt arises, when the noise of the world seems to drown the quiet song of correspondence, return to stillness. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and remember, the same intelligence that spins the stars is breathing through your lungs, beating within your chest, and doctor, aiming through your mind. The law of correspondence is not merely a principle to study. It is a living mystery to embody, a daily invitation to walk with awe, to listen with reverence, and to see in every reflection the face of the infinite looking back,